There's a moment you've probably had more than once where you look up from your screen after a few hours of distracted work and ask yourself, what did I even do today? You were busy. You replied to messages, checked emails, bounced between tabs. But at the end of it all, nothing meaningful got done. Now imagine a different kind of day. One where you disappear into a task so deeply, time falls away. Your focus sharpens. You move through complex problems with quiet intensity. And when you finally come up for air, you've created something valuable, something real. That, in essence, is what Cal Newport calls deep work. Deep Work: Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World is a non-fiction guide by Cal Newport, a computer science professor and productivity thinker who believes the ability to focus deeply is becoming increasingly rare and staggeringly valuable. Blending scientific research, philosophical insight, and practical advice, Newport argues that deep work is the key to mastering hard things, producing work that matters, and finding satisfaction in your craft. But here's the thing. The modern world is engineered to keep us shallow. And if we don't take deliberate steps, our best attention, the kind that can build careers, shape ideas, and unlock creative breakthroughs, gets scattered across tweets, meetings, and scrolling. Let's dive into the first half of the book, where Newport builds the case for deep work, defines it clearly, and shows us how our distracted lives are quietly eroding our potential. Chapter 1. The Deep Work Hypothesis. Newport opens with a bold claim: the deep work hypothesis. It goes like this: the ability to perform deep work is like a superpower in the knowledge economy. Those who can focus intensely will thrive. Everyone else, caught in the shallows, will struggle. He supports this idea with real-world examples. Carl Jung retreating to his stone tower in the woods to write his most original ideas. Bill Gates isolating himself for think weeks to digest deep material. And even Nate Silver, the statistics guru behind 538, known for disappearing into data with laser focus. In short, the ability to do deep work is what separates top performers from the rest. And in a world of automation, outsourcing, and AI, it's one of the few human skills that can't be easily replaced. But here's the paradox. As the need for deep work rises, it's becoming harder to access. Distractions are now baked into our environments. Open offices, constant notifications, social media addiction masquerading as networking. We're training our brains to be distracted at the exact moment when we need focus the most. Chapter 2. Deep Work versus Shallow Work. Newport doesn't just tell us deep work is important, he defines it with precision. Deep work, he says, is focused, uninterrupted effort on a task that pushes your cognitive limits. It creates new value, it improves your skills, and it's hard to replicate. Think writing, problem-solving, coding, strategizing, designing, inventing. Shallow work, on the other hand, is everything else. Answering emails, attending status meetings, filling out forms, reacting to notifications. It's easy, often urgent, and feels productive, but it rarely moves the needle. Most people's days, Newport says, are flooded with shallow work. And worse, we've started to value it, mistaking busyness for productivity. But the harsh truth is, no one builds a legacy replying to Slack messages. He warns, if you spend enough time in a state of shallow work, you permanently reduce your capacity for deep work. Your brain gets wired for distraction, and over time, that makes you less creative, less efficient, and less satisfied. Chapter 3. The Deep Work Advantage. To hammer home why deep work matters, Newport breaks down its 3 big benefits. First, it's how you learn hard things quickly. Whether it's a new programming language, a medical concept, or a creative technique, deep work lets you stretch your cognitive muscles and internalize complexity. Without focus, learning slows to a crawl. Second, it's how you produce at an elite level. Newport references a formula: high-quality work produced equals sign time spent x intensity of focus. Most people think the key is working longer, but Newport argues intensity matters just as much, maybe more. And third, deep work is meaningful. There's something deeply satisfying about being fully absorbed in a challenge. Newport leans on the work of psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who coined the term flow. It's that feeling when you're totally immersed, everything clicks, and time vanishes. Deep work is one of the few reliable paths to flow. So, deep work is how you learn, create, and find meaning. But if it's so good, why do we avoid it? Chapter 4. The Shallow Work Trap. This is where Newport gets brutally honest. Many organizations and many people don't really value depth. They say they do, but in practice, They reward busyness, responsiveness, and visibility. Things like answering emails quickly, being available for random meetings, or posting regularly on professional networks. Newport calls this the metric black hole. Shallow work is easy to measure. You can count emails sent or meetings attended. But deep work, thinking deeply, solving hard problems, producing original ideas doesn't show up on dashboards. It's quiet, invisible, and because of that, it often gets ignored. He shares the example of a high-level executive whose calendar was packed with shallow tasks. She was busy all day, every day, but her actual impact was shrinking. Why? Because she had no time to think. In short, shallow work is addictive, socially rewarded, and everywhere. And unless we fight back, it consumes our lives. Chapter 5. Rule 1. Work deeply. This is the turning point of the book where Newport shifts from theory to practice. His first rule, work deeply. Sounds obvious, right? But it's not easy. Deep work requires structure, discipline, and intention. It doesn't just happen, you have to make it happen. Newport introduces several strategies to help. Ritualize your work. Don't just try to focus. Build a repeatable routine. Decide when, where, and for how long you'll work. Eliminate decision fatigue. Embrace boredom. Train your brain to tolerate the absence of stimuli. That means resisting the urge to check your phone every time you're bored. Deep work depends on unbroken concentration, and that means becoming comfortable with silence. Quit social media, or at least use it intentionally. Newport suggests a 30-day detox. Ask yourself, does this tool significantly support my professional or personal goals? If not, drop it. Drain the shallows. Be ruthless with your time. Schedule every minute of your day. This isn't about being rigid, it's about being mindful. Most people don't realize how much time they're bleeding away on small, inconsequential tasks. Newport even shares his own daily structure. As a professor and writer, he blocks out deep work every morning, defends it like a meeting, and avoids email and distractions until it's done. The results? More books, more research, less stress. The key message here is this: focus is not natural anymore. You have to train for it, protect it, and build a life that honors it. But what happens when your job demands constant communication? When your boss expects instant replies, or your company thrives on rapid-fire collaboration? The strategies might surprise you. The mindset shift definitely will. And it starts with a simple but powerful idea. You teach people how to treat your time. Let's keep going. So we've seen why deep work matters. We've explored how distraction has become our default and how reclaiming focus is not just a personal choice, but a competitive advantage. But now comes the harder part: how to protect deep work in a world that resists it. Cal Newport doesn't sugarcoat it. This is about change. Not just in how you work, but in how you think, how you plan, and even how you interact with others. The second half of deep work gives us the tools for that shift. Rule 2. Embrace boredom. This one might sound odd at first. But here's the problem. If your brain is constantly chasing novelty, it loses the ability to focus on demand. Deep work depends on being able to sit with difficulty, stay with a thought, follow a thread, and that requires mental endurance. Newport's advice is simple but radical: practice being bored. Instead of defaulting to your phone, let your mind wander. If you're trying to solve a complex problem, resist the urge to switch tasks the moment you feel stuck. Don't just train yourself to focus, train yourself to return to focus again and again, no matter how tempting the escape. This isn't about productivity hacks. It's about rewiring your brain to handle depth, and that takes time, discomfort, and patience. Rule 3. Quit social media. This is where Newport draws a hard line. He's not anti-technology, but he is against mindless technology. especially tools that fragment your attention while giving you almost nothing in return. Social media, for example, offers a tiny trickle of entertainment or networking, but at the cost of constant distraction, attention residue, and the loss of silence. Newport argues that most people never stop to evaluate whether the trade-off is worth it. His suggestion: apply the craftsman's mindset. Ask yourself, is this tool the best way to serve something deeply valuable in my life or work? If not, get rid of it. That means quitting platforms that drain you, logging off of tools that keep you reactive, and most importantly, learning to be okay with missing out. Because what you gain is far more powerful: your attention, your clarity, and your time. Rule 4. Drain the shallows. This final rule is about reclaiming your schedule. Newport knows that not all shallow work can be eliminated. Some emails matter, some meetings are necessary, but his point is clear: if you don't actively shrink the shallow parts of your day, they'll take over everything. So how do you do that? First, schedule every minute. Not rigidly, but intentionally. Plan your day in blocks. Give every hour a job, even if that job is relax or go for a walk. This creates a sense of ownership over your time. Second, set shallow work limits. Newport recommends identifying how much shallow work your role actually requires, then capping it. For example, if you're a manager, maybe 30–40% of your day is realistically shallow. Fine, just don't let it drift to 80%. Third, say no more often. Protecting deep work means being willing to disappoint people a little, so you don't disappoint yourself a lot. That might mean declining meetings, refusing low-impact tasks, or using what Newport calls a fixed schedule productivity model, where you decide your work hours in advance and defend them like a wall. The core message: if you don't control your time, someone else will. Deep work in the workplace. You might be thinking, all of this sounds great in theory, but I have a boss, I have deadlines, I can't just disappear into focus whenever I want. Newport hears you, and he offers practical strategies for bringing deep work into a culture that doesn't yet value it. One approach is lead by example. Block deep work on your calendar. Let others see the results. Over time, your productivity becomes your reputation, and people will respect your boundaries because they see what you produce. Another tactic: train your team to adopt deep work habits together. Create no-meeting mornings. Establish communication protocols. Shift from instant replies to thoughtful responses. These small changes add up. But perhaps most powerfully, you can reframe deep work as your job. Newport reminds us, you are hired to create value, not just to stay busy. And that value comes from focus. The more you can tie your performance to your output, not your availability, the more freedom you'll have to protect your time. A philosophical turn: the deep life. As the book moves toward its close, Newport pulls back from tactics and zooms in on something deeper. This isn't just about work, it's about life. The ability to focus, to sink into something meaningful, to feel time expand rather than evaporate, that's a rare kind of peace in the modern world. Newport calls it the deep life, a life where distraction isn't the default, where attention is sacred, where what you build with your time actually matters. And the path to that life is simple but not easy. It requires commitment, boundaries, and a willingness to be different, to step away from noise, to choose quality over quantity, depth over shallowness. We live in a world that prizes speed, reaction, and constant connection. But the truth is, the most important things, ideas, relationships, mastery, are born in silence, in focus, in depth. Deep work is not a rulebook. It's a reminder that your attention is your life, and how you spend it is how you build everything that matters. So the next time you feel the itch to check your phone, fill a gap, or multitask your way through another day, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really trading for this moment of distraction? Because on the other side of that pause is your best work, waiting. If this reflection on deep work sparked something in you, I hope you'll carry it forward into your own routines, choices, and quiet hours. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, slow, thoughtful, and meaningful, feel free to follow this channel. And if there was a moment, an idea, or even a single line from this book that stood out to you, I'd love to know. Drop it in the comments. Finally, if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this, someone caught in the noise, looking for clarity, feel free to share it with them. Thanks for listening. And until next time, protect your time, guard your focus, and stay deep.